Hello.
Hi.
How's it going, Cheryl?
Good, and you?
Good, good. Here at the office, apparently the lighting is not as great as I thought it was.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, how are things going over there?
Good. It's really picking up. How about you?
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm
Yeah?
trying to get some help to take some of the load off, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. You as well. I got some sewn over here. See, right?
Hey!
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good, and you?
Good. Good to see you.
Yes, man, same.
Yeah. Are you gonna jump on the computer or no? Yeah. Well, I know Ryan. Yeah, I think I sent out the invite to Ryan. Sorry, I'm still green as all can be with all this stuff, Cheryl. Yeah.
I'm not, you know what? I actually haven't had my own Zoom meeting. I've actually taught other people how to have Google Meets, but I've never done the Zoom, so I'd be
Yeah,
green
it's
too.
pretty, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward, but there's little things here and there, like to allow people to join in and talk and all this other stuff. Let me see here. 6:30. You got any deals?
You're supposed to bring me the deals.
Nah, that's in this together. Yeah.
I'm the lender. You
No,
bring the
Facebook.
deals.
Yeah, the link is on Facebook. What's up, my man? You can't hear me right now. He's on mute.
Hear me now?
Hey, there you are.
Can you hear
There
me?
you are.
Hold on. 1 second.
Hi, Valley.
Can you hear me,
Hey
guys?
Jesse, how are you tonight?
Good, thank you. Thank you
Good.
so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, we can hear you, brother. Yeah. So what's up, my man?
Hold on, dude. Try to connect my AirPods.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, I guess that's sort of like officially hands off. Are you logged in yet, Papa? Yeah, he's having a hard time. What's up, Romy? Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
We can. What's
Weird.
up?
It should be in my ears, but it's not in my ears. I'm trying to figure out what the problem is.
Touche. It's all good, man. Got some time. Give us some time. We'll let some people log in. It's
There we go. Game on, baby. There we go.
there you go.
What's up, dude?
Right there. That's the link. Click it. What's up, man?
Just playing my new box, bro. Check this out. You
Dude,
got one coming in the mail, by the way.
Hey, that's dope, dude. What is that? Am I getting brand new sneakers or what?
Dude, it's the VIP box. So when everybody that joins the academy, they get swag. So we mail out a box of swag, dude. So my new boxes just came in today, so I'm playing with them. That to me,
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome, dude. I'll be looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, buddy.
I guess we usually give people a little bit of time, like 5 minutes to jump on, bro. But man,
No
let's
worries.
start with you, bro. What's going on with Rotty, dude? Tell us more. It's recorded, bro. So we're gonna repost it anyhow. So
Sure.
once again, thank you guys for joining us, Southwest Collab. And we got Ryan, Rotty, the Pitbull Garcilazo with us. So, man, how about we start by you telling us a little bit about yourself, bro, and a little bit about your story.
No worries. So I've been in the game 15, 16 years. I'm 38. I've been flipping houses since 22, so I've been here for a long time. We started off as contractors, so I ran one of the best and largest GC contracting companies here in Chicago. We won a lot of awards, but we were working with the hedge funds. So I actually learned how to real estate invest through the hedge funds. So like
Okay.
Waypoint Homes, American Homes for Rent, and a number of other places. But I learned how their management structure worked on Wall Street, and it was extremely I mean, it was volatile, but it's an eye-opening experience. So as contractors, we worked with hundreds and hundreds of investors, and I got to see really what the problem was, because I would imagine every investor on the panel is going to tell you that they hate working with contractors, and I don't blame you. But the reality is you owe it to yourself to learn contracting. That's your fault. So the reality of it is when you're a real estate investor, you have three pillars in this business. You have real estate, you have investing, and then you have contracting, right? And construction is a major industry in the world, right? Everybody needs a place to live, right? So you can't sleep on that. So what we realized early on is that these investors needed to understand the concept of contracting, the concept of pricing and negotiating, and really at the end of the day, how contractors make money, how the schedules are supposed to work, how the manager is supposed to work. And so after about 10 years of contracting and 1,000 flips later, we decided to leave contracting and then decided to start consulting and training investors on literally how to rehab through the eyes of a contractor. And that's been something we've been doing for 6 years now.
Wow, man. Wow. So as of now, so that's how you started in the business, right? Started with the hedge funds, got you there. So where are you at right now, dude, with the whole biz?
Lock changes and window board ups. All right, I started at the very, very bottom. That was property preservation, dude. So it was a while before I came up in contracting again. So at the end of the day, I started at the very low bottom.
So when you say property preservation, is it like clean outs and stuff like that?
Yep. So we were working with REOs, managers. We were working with REO agents. We were working with foreclosures. And it was vacant properties back when I was 22 that we were just kind of board up and preserved, if you will, emptying it out, winterizing homes for literally pennies on the dollar. It was terrible. You feel like you're starting a business, you feel good about it. It wasn't probably until, I would say, 1 or 2 years into it when I realized, I'm like, well, somebody's got to do something with these properties long after we do what we do, right? I mean, it's not nearly rehabbed after we're done with it. So I started learning the process, and I realized it was the hedge funds that really change and alter the pricing around the country. They run everything. So, I know a lot of investors, I've been in the game a long time, but my point is a lot of investors go to all kinds of different programs. And my opinion is hedge funds. There's no gimmick there. The hedge funds have English for a reason. There's no $50,000 product here, $60,000 product there. You want to learn how to really flip houses, learn how the hedge funds.
That's all scale, right, man? Just systemized from A to Z.
Yes, it's insane how they do it. And they would literally hand us sheets of properties because they would buy sheets of property. They didn't look at these houses. That's not what they do. They take their money, they deploy it in the best markets across the country, buy 10,000 units, meaning homes in any given market. 10 years, right? 10 years ago, we were in the first recession. That was our heyday. We did 400 or 500 flips for the hedge funds alone in 3 years. In passing off sheets. So they would come up with their budgets. We'd look at it. I studied their budgets. I studied how they analyze it. I studied how they created vendor relationships. Their project management worked. I studied how their upper management worked. And of course, everything in between that worked or didn't work. And we started applying that to our business on a very small. And just taking bits and pieces of what the hedge funds were doing changed our model completely. And our ability to was insane. And it happened literally probably overnight. And I couldn't manage that. It took some time to manage that, but it was a blessing in disguise because guess what?
You started breaking up a little bit towards the end there, man. Can you repeat that last sentence again?
10 years ago with the hedge funds, that's properties, right? Well, guess what's going to happen next year? The same thing. Okay. So we got a call from American Homes for One about 2 months ago. They asked me, they go, are you still in the contract? We're going to be buying probably 10,000 units in Chicago. I said, okay. For us to put together, for me to build a construction company, I did that for 10 years. And I'm still licensed as a GC. But putting those guys on job sites is not difficult. I'll just hire a project manager. He'll get certified through me, and we'll put them out. Fair, and best believe there's going to be foreclosures. I'm in a bunch of masterminds. And this morning I had for 3 hours in one of our masterminds, and we were talking about how many people right now can't pay rent. 28 million people are not going to pay rent next month. Okay, that means they're going to get evicted. You have 30 million people that will pay their rent the rest of the year. What does that tell you? And these are the best economists in our group. What does that tell you? That means inventory is gone. So you're going to be competing with hedge funds, because the hedge funds are coming into the brink.
Wow. And then what's the goal of all this after that, man? They're just going to buy them up for pennies on the dollar? Same idea as before?
Rentals. Put them back in their portfolio, rent them out. When it's hot, they sell everything. So maybe 10 years ago.
Hey, yo, Rotty, hey, just a heads up, man. You're breaking up like 25% of the time, man.
Really?
I don't know if it's a disconnect with the linking on the headset, bro. But so I'm losing you in bits and pieces there. Is it just us? Is it just me, guys, or are you guys getting that as well? It's breaking up some? Yeah.
Yeah, let me turn that off. It's fine. No worries.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So, man, I just want to make sure we get the whole story, man, because bits and pieces here.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. Way better, bro.
Way better?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, cool. It could be because they're dying. I'm on these things all day long.
Right on, dude. Right on. So, dude, just continue where you were at for like, basically, do you think we're going to repeat that same cycle is what you're trying to say here in the next year or two?
Yes, I think it's going to happen. I don't know to what extent or to what degree, naturally. I don't think anybody knows. But, you know, when you start looking at the numbers, you have almost 50 million people unemployed. That's incredible. You know, at the end of the day, think about what's happening. If you can't work, you can't live, you can't eat. You know, it's terrible what's happening, but it's happening. And if you're in the real estate investing game, you owe it to yourself to understand how that's moving and where it's moving and position yourself so that you're ready for it.
Okay. I guess the right question, I guess, is where do you think it's moving, man? What is that? What is the right play going into the future, man? Before you get into your rehab talk.
No, I mean, what I'm doing is, you know, what I'm doing and what a lot of my peers are doing is all the inventory that we have, we're selling right now because the market's hot. So all the rentals we're selling, right? Because we're going to take our cash reserves and we're going to wait. And I think that's what's happening at the top levels right now. You know, the guys that we do business with are very high level and they're doing the same thing. They're getting rid of their portfolio while they can, keeping that money, and they're going to go right back in. But the reality is they're just waiting and they're waiting and they're waiting because they know what's to come. You know, real estate investing is something that you got to nurture, you got to get experience, and most importantly, you have to fail. You know, you have to make many mistakes, but you have to really ride it out. You know, this is what you do. I'll put it to you this way, flat out, frank. If you want to rehab as a hobby, don't do it. You're going to lose everything. If you want to treat this as a business, then you must build it as a business. You must have an actual operations process, a system, CRMs, the whole nine. You know, rehabbing is not a hobby. Like whatever you see on TV, it's scripted. I've been there. We've done all the shows. It's scripted. It's for fun. But at the end of the day, it's not reality, even though they call it reality TV. But it's not reality of what we're living, right? A lot of individuals leave their 9 to 5 with hopes and dreams. Right? You got to take that serious. A lot of individuals have dreams of, you know, putting their kids through college and school and all these different things, retirement, whatever it is. There's no right or wrong answer. That's your business. But you have to treat it literally as a business. Lesson number 1. Because if you meet a guy like me in this industry who knows everything about construction and you don't, who's winning? Me, not you. You have to understand my side of the fence.
So let's get into that, brother.
Go.
What does that look like, man? Like, I can tell you.
Nightmare. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So how should a proper, I guess, rehab business from maybe going under contract to close look like, man?
Sure.
In like
sure.
the easiest terms.
Sure. So first and foremost, when you're looking at a deal, right, as the investor, you're looking at the deal, you're analyzing the numbers, you know, whether you're doing off-market deals, whatever, that's your business. But when you're looking at a deal, you're trying to make a deal, you have to understand that the construction numbers control everything, okay? You can go 60% deep, 70% deep, 50% deep, that's your business. But if you have no idea, at least a ballpark of what your rehab is going to cost you, don't take the house down. Don't take that deal. Because everything looks good on paper, right? Until you get into construction, and everybody loses in construction. Time management, quality control, contractors not doing their thing, all the above. But see, construction is an industry of its own for a reason, right? You have to set up for construction. There's called a production phase. There's 3 phases of rehabbing: production, construction, closeout. Production is the moment you put a property under contract to the moment you do demo day one. There's a lot that has to happen in that 30 days or so. Some people close early, some people take a little bit longer. No right or wrong answer. But let's just say 30 days, presumably. You have 30 days to get ready for demo day one. And in construction, here's the analogy. Do you think you could build churches and schools and roads in 30 days to just plan? Like that's all you have? Of course not. It takes years of planning, right? Even if you said, all of you on this panel want to do your basement or your kitchen and you're a consumer, you live there. So there's a lot of passion there. There's a lot of heart and desire. Like this is my dream kitchen. You're going to take the time to plan that out. So as an investor, why are you not taking the time to plan that out? Your contractor is not going to do that for you. You didn't hire him for that service, right? And remember one thing, you're not going to get an A+ contractor the way you would as a consumer when you hire somebody to do your kitchen, right? That guy's going to mark you up 40% because that's retail. That's the going rate in retail. That's not fraud. That's reality. Now you can't afford 40% because you're taking it to retail. So you got to pay rehab margins, right? Which is 15% max. So who do you think is going to be rehabbing for you? The C-level contractor, not the A, the C. So who do you think needs to be the A? You. You need to be the A. You need to have a process. You as the investor have to have a system. You're the plug and play. Because remember one thing, when you hire the contractor, it's your job to provide the scope of work. It's your vision. It's not my house, it's your house, right? You got to have a budget in mind. I'm going to tell you what the house needs, but you got to tell me what you can afford, right? You got to tell me the timeline. What's the risk here, right? Are you renting this thing? Are we going to cash flow it? Or you have an ARV? And then you got things like the risk analysis wheel that's actually behind me. I just taught that this morning, this risk wheel behind me on this wall. Risk is the biggest thing you should be looking at the moment you put a project under contract, because you have to think about geography, location, demographic, budget, GC, right? What are those called? KPIs. You have to track your key performance indicators because you are a business. You could be 123 Madison Street LLC, but you're not going to be in business very long if you don't treat it like a business, right? You have to understand operations, process, and systems. Right? And if you're hiring a C-level contractor, they depend on what you know, and more importantly, they'll take advantage of what you don't.
Interesting, man. And that's an issue I always ran into, man. As far as scopes are concerned, we always get to a certain place in time and they hit you with insane change orders or they just cut corners. And I just wasn't prepared for that, man. When I try to scale up, dude, I got torn apart.
No, I believe you. The truth is, if you don't have a process, and more important, what I mean by that is a system in which you operate. So you have to have a certain standard of quality, right? You have to, as a project manager, and here's the big deal to you guys, and I don't know how many people are on this call, but my point is, as a real estate investor who chooses to rehab and deal with high-level guys, right? I'm a high-level guy. I'm not a C-level contractor. I'm an A-level contractor. That's why I do 100 flips a year. Point is, when you're going to deal with somebody like me, I need you to know a thing or two. Think about that, right? The better you are at investing, the better I can be at contracting. If you don't know what I know, we're going to struggle, right? It's important for you guys to understand how to rehab. And at the very least, remember one thing, whether you like it or not, you're a project manager. That's what you signed up for. The moment you decide you want to rehab, you have become a project manager. You must learn what that means then. Learn your role, learn your responsibilities, jot down your SOP, and get ready to rock and roll. Because remember, you hired me to rehab your house, which means you are in charge. You're the leader here. Where are we going? What are we doing? When do you want to do it? How are we going to do it? What are your colors? What are your finishes? That's not my job to do that for you.
So, wow, that's a lot, man.
Hey, this is what I do. I keep it real.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. I mean, I can certainly tell you most people I work with, I don't know as much as them. But dude, I try to GC everything, I hired a project manager, that didn't work out so well. I became project manager and it's
Sure.
Yeah, man. There's all kinds of ways you can get played, but
dude, there's a lot. There's a lot. This business is hard. Okay, I have hundreds of students. I tell them all the time, it's hard. It's okay though. It takes practice. You can learn how to real estate invest in a weekend course. You cannot learn construction in a weekend course. You literally have to do construction for years before you might think you might know how to frame a house. It takes time. That's a craft. That's a skill set. It's a true skill set. Yes, it's up here. How you see it and envision it, you then have to apply physically. Where real estate investing is not physical, right? It's really about analyzing. It's very analytical. Does it make sense or not make sense? But when you're looking at a property, you have to understand your different levels of rehab. So when you're sitting inside someone's home and you're trying to make a deal, you're looking around, you're observing, and you're going through your checklist, and you're just trying to put a ballpark in your mind, like this is a level 3 rehab, this is a level 5, this is a level 1, whatever, so you can make the right offer. Because oftentimes, and I would say more than often, is that investors will actually buy wrong because their rehab numbers were wrong. And unless you're a middle guy, meaning a seasoned person will do probably 50 deals a year on average. They probably have somebody that estimates for them. Then you have the upper level guys, the elite guys that have like 3 or 4, they're doing 250 deals a year. But for the most common people that might do 1, 2, or they're starting off, right? And I don't know who's on this panel. I don't know what level you guys are, but let's just assume you guys are all new. Then guess what did that fall? It falls on your shoulders then, right? That means that when you're making your first couple of deals here, getting your feet wet, trying to get this thing going, trying to build a business, it really comes down to you making the right decision ultimately in the front end, because the front end affects the back end. If you buy wrong, you rehab wrong. You can't force a profit. You know, the biggest analogy I'll give you is like, you know, construction is like medicine. So imagine you're in a surgical table, you're under surgery. If that surgical team runs into a dilemma, do you think they're going to leave you there on the table and come back tomorrow and figure it out? No. And the same thing with rehab. If you run into a construction issue, you just can't wait till tomorrow. You got to deal with it then and there. You got to figure it out. And that's why being an investor who's a project manager who understands their role in the process. I am not suggesting that any one of you need to understand how to physically tile. But what you do need to know is, when does tile happen in the process, right? That's a different story from leadership. You don't have to know how to tile. You just have to know that it's crooked and the grout lines are uneven and that we're tiling when we shouldn't be tiling. That's your job. That's all you have to do. And as an investor, your job is to manage the GC or the sub, not the project. You don't have the background for that. So when you learn how to manage the contractor, you're forcing him to do his job because you're all over him. You're on his ass all day long. You're questioning the schedule. You're challenging quality. You're doing rolling punch lists. You're making your site visits, blah, 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 blah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Man.
Then it slow me down if I'm going too fast, because I live this life. It's just nonstop.
It's nuts, man. So, I mean, with that being said, man, I know there's a ton of things we can get into, man. We'll get into the Q&A later, man. But
Sure.
How should a proper rehab, I guess, what would the proper rehab look like from A to Z? When I say like always, and that's something I always get stuck on, like just like you mentioned, tile, right? Tile after paint, right? Or, you know what I mean? This got to get hit before this gets hit, man. How should a rehab look in the most elementary terms, man, from A to Z?
There's no, I can't answer that question, because construction will always have challenges. Nothing's perfect. Okay. So I really can't say this is what a perfect rehab looks like, because there's no such thing. And I'm not here to blow smoke up anybody's ass. This is the facts. Construction is very difficult. Every project will have a different scope of work, a different budget. Even if you buy the same Cape Cods, even if you buy the same bungalows, every house has different issues and different needs, just like the human body does, right? We're not all sick the same. So my point is, that's how you have to look at a property, is that what can you afford to not do and what must you do to pass buyer inspections, get this thing on the market, and make a profit. So my point is, the reason why I can't answer that, and nobody can, and anybody that tells you they can is full of shit. The reality is, you have to understand the KPIs and the risks of what you're getting involved in every single project. Every single project. You have to look at it for what it is. What's my risk? How far is the project? What kind of materials do I need? What's the ARV? What can I get away with? What can I get away with? Is the city going to kill me? Do I need permits? Do I need an architect? All these things go through your mind per project. And there are always change orders. So for all of you who hate change orders, which is probably everybody, there will always be change orders, and here's why. Because we are all in redevelopment, not development. Redevelopment. So when your contractor hits you with a change order, make peace with God early, make it now, because, you know, you got to deal with it. But there's a way to deal with it, right? I'm not saying that every change order is legitimate, but there are going to be change orders. So it's okay. That's common. So don't think that that's not common. Remember one thing, in redevelopment, you're taking a structure that currently exists, probably past 60 years. So when you start doing new things to it, old things fall apart. When you start opening up walls, old things are exposed. And that gives the city inspectors that ability to say, oh, I see that plumbing, that's got to go, that electric's got to go, which probably was not part of your scope and definitely not part of your budget, which is why you have a contingency. But the reality is those things are going to happen. And the way you negotiate that just comes down to creating leverage. The biggest key to being a successful and serial rehabber is project management. The way you set up your job and run your job will give you the greatest leverage, because you are going to be, and I'm sure those who are on this call that are rehabbing now, and including you, Jesse, at the end of the day, you guys probably negotiate about money every other day. Every other day it's about money. When's my next draw? Or what's, blah, blah, blah. It's always about money. So you need to learn to use that to your advantage. And one of the things that we're big on teaching is, and I'm a contractor, don't let me have a markup. I'll kill you on that, right? You have to award me the contract. Don't let me bid. If I bid, I win. Because you think that you're winning if I underbid your budget. So what? If I underbid your, example, you guys got me, this is what I do. You got me fired up. So $50,000 budget. This is right. Let's just throw that out there. $50,000 budget on average.
Okay.
Everybody's going to be accepting a bid. Could be 48, could be 40, one might be 50, another might be 65, right? Some people want to go for the lowest bid. Don't do that. Go for the middle ground, of course. But you say, oh, you know what? I'm going to give Rotty this contract at 48,000. It's under 50. I'm winning. No, you're not. You just lost, because you're not going to have the contingency amount in your budget to afford the change orders that are going to happen. So you will automatically be over budget. You're also not going to be able to afford the fact that I'm in charge of materials then. So I'm not looking for deals the way you would. I'm not looking at clearance items the way you should, right? You tell me what you want, I go buy it. I don't care about the price, because I got a markup in there. So if I have a GC fee of 15%, best believe I'm making the other 15% on the markups. I'm making 30%, because I know it's a rehab. You have to understand the game of contracting. And that's one of the biggest things we teach is like, listen, you guys have to award contracts, right? Here's lesson number one, $1,000 a day rule is how you challenge a schedule. So if it's a $50,000 budget, you should be at about 50 days, give or take, on a schedule, on a timeline, okay? 50%, 40 to 50% of all budgets consists of just labor. So if you know that, why would you give me 70, 80, 90% of the budget? If I literally can get the job done just with my team, I make some money, my team makes their hourly, they go home, we all eat, and your budget is 50, right? But I can actually get the job done for $20,000 in labor. Why would you not take the time to learn that and control the budget? All you guys do is control the finishes, meaning you set up your accounts with Home Depot, right? You pick your cabinets, you pick your countertops. You're in control. You guys all know the old saying in business, whoever controls the money has the power. That goes all, look at what's happening in the media. Look at what's happening around the world. Who has the money has the power. So as investors, you have to have control of your money. It's your house. Don't let me control that. Because if I control that, you will blow your budget every single time. I won't, I'll make more money. You won't, you'll lose money. And that's facts. Name a contractor that'll tell you that.
So you're pretty much suggesting to always just bid out the labor. Is that pretty much how you play it?
Yes, absolutely. So when you start looking, and obviously it's a formula, and I'm not going to teach this formula. I'm sure people are like, oh my God, I don't have time for this, but it's a formula. It's called reversing the GC engineering role. So what you do is you look at, if you know that 15% is all you really can afford as an investor, right? And you also know that these contractors are coming from a 40% world, you're already apart. Automatically, before you even meet the guy, you're already apart by 50%. So you have to control that money. So all you have to do is take a look at like a 3 or 4 man crew. All right, lesson number 3, new construction. Okay, here's this is going to be a big picture for you guys. In new construction, it takes about 25 to 30 different sub-tradesmen to build a new custom home. That's it, 2,500 square feet, nothing crazy. 25 to 30 tradesmen, right? And most rehabs need everything, right? We're doing some trim work, we're doing paint, we got some drywall issues, we got electrical, we got plumbing, right? So you're trying to hire a C-level contracting company that has 3 guys, maybe 4, and you're expecting them to be able to do 25, 30 trades. There's the problem. Therein lies the issue. They can't do it, right? It's an impossible task. So who has to be the A? All of you. Who has to understand how to lead them? All of you. Who understands how to ask questions and challenge them, saying, listen. This is a $50,000 job. A lot of work to be done. Not major, but a lot of work to be done. You know, Mr. Contractor, and these are questions you can ask. Ask me these kind of questions, right? I'm your contractor. Listen, dude, you know, we got a pretty substantial scope here. Is there anything on this scope that you're probably not really good at? Because I'd like to know that, because I'll hire a separate sub for that. How many of you asked that question? Probably minimal. But there's nothing wrong with that, because your contractor depends on you more than they'll ever tell you. If you don't challenge them, they'll never question it. They'll give you what they got. And a C-level contractor might give you 100%, but that 100% might not be enough quality for you to sell that house. So you owe it to yourself to ask these questions when you're doing your walk, when you're walking these properties with contractors, and you've got your scope of work in hand, all these things. Ask them, is there anything here that, you know, honestly, your crew can't handle or that you just don't like? I'll tell you flat out, I hate drywall. I don't do drywall. I'll sub it out all day long. I don't have time for that. It is daunting. It is boring. I'm gone, right? I'll tile the shit on anything, though. Right? Give me some tile. Give me some mortar. Game on. What kind of design you want? Leave me in the corner. I'll knock it out. But that's my point. Ask an honest question to a contractor. You'll get an honest answer back. But never really ask like an open-ended question. You don't ask contractors, how long will this project take you? You'll never get the answer you want. How much, like when you're asking for a bid, how much is this project going to take? You're never going to get the answer you want. When can you start? You're never going to get the answer you want. So if I just taught you right now on this call that it's $1,000 a day and it's a $50,000 budget, you already know the timeline. 50 days, give or take. You're in control, right? If I already told you that half of the budget is going to be labor, you can negotiate me just on labor, right? You're in control. And think of the logic on this. When are we going to start, guys? All of you, all 12 of you. When are we going to start? The week you close, right? So you already know when you want to start. You're in control. You tell me what's up, I'm in. But if you ask me questions, I'm going to give you answers that fit my life, my schedule, my personality. All right? I look at a project and go, oh yeah, 8 weeks. Should take 4. But I'll tell you 8 because you asked me. I'm going to give myself the cushion so I have the advantage. Not you. See where I'm going with this? You guys all hate me. This guy is like every guy I hire. But I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy anymore. I'm actually on your side now.
That's awesome, man. So how do you avoid those issues, man? So you said like the 4 to 8 week thing. Do you set budgets or deadlines and then punish them for every day after, or not punish them?
So I'm a big believer in, if you're going to penalize, you have to incentivize, right? Okay. So for us in our contract, it's $100 a day. I'll give you $100 a day if you're early, for every day you're early, and I'm going to penalize you $100 a day for every day you're late. You know, I keep it pretty open, pretty fair. It's in our contracts. You know, in our scopes of work, I literally put down our details, meaning like our standards, things that we do all the time, door stoppers. We always have brushed nickel finishes, you know. But we have A and B packages. So we create design boards that say, here's my earth tones, if you will, and here's my whites and grays. And as trends change, we update. But, you know, we're very sophisticated. We built out a system in which, you know, the contractors have a CRM that I built that they log into, right? They got to answer to me. They got to give me updates. I know what they're doing. And it's not about, and we used to get this a lot in the past. We're like, oh, well, you know, how am I going to get the contractor to actually log in and provide me updates? And I used to reply with, why would you even bother questioning it? That's how you do business, right? That's how you do business. I use a CRM system, Mr. Contractor. I'm going to send you an invite to that system. You're going to receive it later this afternoon. Log in, create your own password. And this is how we're going to start communicating moving forward, right? What's wrong with that conversation? That took me 12 seconds to spit that out. Yeah. I put that in the contracts, how we operate. This is my way of operating. If you don't like technology, I don't like you. Move on. I'll find another contractor.
Wow. Yeah. So
but the reality is you have to have a backbone as an investor. You have to. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm telling you how it is. I've dealt with hundreds and hundreds of subs. It creates a backbone for you, right? You have to just have confidence. The only way to get confidence is through the experience and through mistakes and failures. And that's one of the things I'm telling you, it's the biggest key is the confidence to go into a deal and say, I'm just not happy with this. I don't like this. This does not look right to me. You must challenge that and never accept anything less. All of us in life have expectations of people, expectations of anything. So why would you not continue doing that in rehabbing when your life stakes on the line? You've invested in this property. So don't lose who you are. Be that individual, right? You have a standard, own it. Because if you don't acknowledge it or challenge it, no one's going to follow your role, and you're going to get a shit product.
Wow. Wow. So how about the person that's either got a full-time job or doesn't have the time to manage rehab, right? Or at least according to them, or they don't set the time aside. What do you have to tell those people, man? Hire a GC and let them handle all the shit, project manager?
No. Are you out of your mind? No. If you give the freedom to the GC and he knows you're not there and you're not going to be there often, it's over, right? First off, if you have a 9-to-5 and you're rehabbing, you must commit to making time, right? But the biggest thing that works to your advantage is a CRM system then. So if you're able to log in at work to a CRM system and there's a live chat going on, you can literally challenge your contractor all day long. I need 10 pictures. I need a video. I need this. Hey, how do the materials get dropped? So you're really in the communication all day long from your office or from home, wherever you're working. That's the only way to operate. And that also is very parallel to like virtual rehabbing. So having a technology system acts as a physical body that's not there, right? So I would never hire anybody if I don't plan on being there as often, because minimal, you got to walk every project at least twice a week, minimal. And I'm not talking about walk in, take pictures, go on Facebook, look at me, and then leave. I'm talking about go in there. You look at the scope of work, you look at the schedule, and then you observe the progress, and then you challenge it. Where are we at? This doesn't look good. We're supposed to be on drywall. I don't even see drywall here. You have to manage it when you're there. Site visits are extremely legit. It's the most important piece of the puzzle. If you're not doing site visits, you're done. You're dead in the water. And if you do a site visit and it's all about Facebook, forget about it. Go home, right? You have to understand that this is a job. You are all project managers. You have to manage your job. So you have to be involved always. And the only way to do that is through a CRM system and setting that tone with your contractor that he knows, or he or she, I've hired female contractors, but he or she has to know that you have an expectation because you put that in your contract. That's in your scope of work that I will walk the property twice a week. I expect 25 pictures a week from you. I expect 3 videos a week from you. I expect updates every other day, especially the days I'm not physically there. There's nothing wrong with outlining that, because what you're doing is you're setting an expectation, right? You're running a company. This is how we operate. You don't like it? Then don't work for us. I'll find another one. And you have to not have the fear to do that. That make sense?
It makes a ton of sense, man. That so how about the person that has very, very little construction in background, who's just getting into the game, just
Right.
join a class or something, finish watching Flip That House or whatever, and is
Turn
getting
that
in
shit
there.
off.
Yeah, turn that shit off.
I'm being serious. All right, so the person obviously, factually, the majority of investors do not have construction experience, right? The majority of investors by data are coming from 9-to-5. They're corporate. They have the culture of corporate, and you have to understand when you're in middle management. I came from corporate, right? I had a corporate job when I was 21. It was terrible, and thank God that's over. But the reality was I learned a lot. I understood that structure, right? I understood that harmony and the culture. But there has to be law and order. And that's one of the things you learn from the corporate structure is there's law and order, right? You have to answer emails. You have to do follow-up. You actually have to do your job or you're going to lose your job. You have to treat that the same way. Carry that into rehabbing, right? You're all business owners. Carry that into your business. What you've learned, what you've been groomed for, translates very well. Don't lose that. In fact, amplify it, right? Improve it. Blow it up. Self-improvement is a very big deal, right? You have to continue educating yourself. This business evolves just like real estate, right? Everybody studies real estate as it changes. You better start evaluating construction, because construction changes with real estate. It's the same thing. They're intertwined. So you have to understand that you're making a commitment to learning 2 industries. And that commitment to learning 2 industries is a lifetime commitment. If you guys rehab till you're 65, God bless all of you. That means you're learning till you're 65. You don't just stop now. Things change, man. And you have to stay involved. You got to stay in the game. You got to stay ahead of the curve. That's why I'm in all these masterminds, because I'm not an economist. That shit's boring to me. But I depend on my peers to tell me what's happening. So I'm like, oh, no shit, didn't know that. All right, let me write that down. I might have to make an adjustment, right? I depend on it.
That's all. So what's the best way to get better at construction other than getting your ass kicked a few rehabs in a row or whatever? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, so for us, we started that academy. So we have a certification course. All of you guys can get certified in project management. But besides being in the academy, which I'd love to have all of you, it's an ongoing thing. Rehabbing is something that you learn and then do, and then learn and then do, and then learn and then do. You know, it's not something you just keep doing courses and courses and courses and just gobbling up cereal. You actually have to like learn something today and go, okay, all right, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. And you literally tomorrow wake up and do that. You apply it, see if it works, because that's when you gain the confidence. Rehabbing must become instinctive. When you become instinctive, you're at the top of your game. You become one of the elite. And your volume and your business, everything will just grow with that, because you're instinctive. It's so prevalent that you're like, I know my numbers, and I know this type of house, and I know what my scope's going to be, and I know what my contract's going to be, and I know what I want. I know, and blah, 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 blah. When you know, man, that's when instinct kicks in. And when instinct kicks in, you're on top. And let me tell you something else about instinct. Your contractor that you're hiring, they already know if you know, right? They already know if you know, and they also definitely know if you don't know. So you owe it to yourself to learn how to rehab, right? So that you're not taken advantage of from the jump, right? That's a fact. I would look into hundreds of my clients over the years, and I would look them in the eye, and I would just smile and say, you have no idea what you're doing. I own you. I own all your money. It's not even fair. And it wasn't, I did nothing fraudulent. It's the fact that they don't know what's coming. They have no idea. They didn't budget it correctly. I'm trying to tell them you're 20 grand under budget. You're going to have change orders. Hope you got working capital. And as those change orders would come in, they hated me. They wanted to argue and fight. I'm like, but it's not my fault. This is construction. You don't know construction. You should know construction. So at the end of the day, I can real estate invest because I'm an investor. Why didn't you choose to learn construction? Right? There's a bridge there. And that's what we did with the Rehab Depot. We bridged that gap, saying, listen, we're going to help these investors out, or you guys are never going to win. Because contractors are getting savvier now. You can't really say you've never met a contractor these days that's not ever done a rehab now, right? So these guys, so the feeling that you guys have as investors, you're like, oh, another contractor. Well, guess what? Contractors are like, oh, shit, another investor. And they're new. Oh, right? So it's out there. And with what's going to be happening in the next few years, you guys all owe it to yourself to find that common ground. And the best thing you could do is become a very good project manager so that you can help your GC find success. You guys both want to make money. It's not one-sided. You both want to make money, establish a rapport, and I really mean that. You need to establish a true relationship if you don't want turnover. And there's a whole process to that. And it's an ongoing process, right? But you have to establish a relationship. You have to establish a rapport so that hopefully you can do this with the same guy again and again and again. And the more you can keep same crews happy and hungry and fed, then you can be like, cool, I got this guy, he can handle 2 or 3. I got to get another guy and build him up and cultivate him as well. Cool, I got another guy. When you got crews that are loyal to you, that allows you to focus on acquisitions.
Wow.
If you know their margins and where they're comfortable making money, you can actually buy around them. Because you're like, I know you start looking at 3 contractors that are on your roster, you start going, not for Rotty, Rotty's too expensive, but Jim might take this one. So I'm going to put this around Jim, right? I'm going to make this deal around Jim because Jim only needs to make 10%. That means I can make another 5.
That makes sense.
You're really studying the game. It's a business.
Wow, man. I see here, Alexis had a question, man, and it is about the phases. And I had a question about that as well, man.
Go ahead.
Can you go into that a little bit more, man? Can you repeat
so
those phases?
just the phases in general?
Yeah.
All right, so there's 3 phases.
Questions, they're welcome to type them in.
Oh, yeah, anybody, please ask away. That's what I'm here for. 3 phases of construction. First phase is production. Second phase is construction, which is actual construction. We're past demo day 1. And then third phase is closeout, which means the project's done. So during the first phase, which is production, that's when the property is under contract and we have to figure out who's going to be on the job, what's really going to cost, what's my final scope. You're doing a lot of things in that phase. There's 4 steps. You have pre-walk, you have contract period, you have pre-con, which is pre-construction, where it's an all hands on deck, And then the fourth step in the fourth week, if you want to look at it that way, is the money week. When you look back at the schedule and the budget and you make sure I have what I need, I know how the process works, I know how the draws work, I'm cool with the schedule, it makes sense to me, I'm ready for construction. So on the pre-walk, you're basically walking with a contractor and you got a preliminary scope of work, because there's a lot of games in this game, right? You don't have to have a final scope of work. And if you're not very savvy with that or experienced with that, how could you have a final scope of work, right? So use that to your advantage when you're saying, okay, I have an idea that I obviously want to paint the house. We obviously have drywall work to do. We need new lighting. And you could obviously tell the basics, right? That's your preliminary scope of work. And then all you do is when you're walking with your contractor, you have a sheet, he's got a sheet. You talk openly, right, about some of the areas that you're not good with. Like, this area looks all messed up in the kitchen. I think it needs to go. What do you think? And what does that go back to what I said? You're establishing a rapport. You want him or her to start engaging you with ideas, with thought, with advice. You don't want a contractor that's sitting there going, yeah, we do this all the time. No problem. Yep, we'll fix it. Yep. You don't want that guy.
Okay.
You want the guy that's going to say, listen, if I were you, and this is your house, but why would you knock down that wall? I wouldn't knock down that wall. And here's why, X, Y, Z. Now I like this guy. I'm like, okay, you're making me think. I like this. We're having a conversation. All right, I can work with that. I like this. That's what you want, right? You're establishing a rapport early on. But you're establishing a rapport because you're in control. You're asking these questions. And a trick to ask a question as an investor that's new, so that you don't look foolish, which I know a lot of investors don't want to look foolish, is I always used to say back in the day, because let me tell you something. When I got in this game at 22, I knew nothing about construction. Zero. I came from healthcare. Go figure. Hell, I worked in the ER. That's my claim to fame, right? So I knew nothing about construction. So my point is, I would say, hey guys, learning experience for the both of us. I've never put a beam in. No idea. How much does it cost? How long does it take? And is it even needed? So the way I would ask that was very matter-of-factly. So I wasn't challenging the GC. I definitely wasn't showing my ass, but I was kind of saying, listen, it's something I just don't do. And I want to have that open dialogue. Makes them feel good, makes them feel respected, and you get an honest answer. And now we're going back and forth. We're volleying a little bit, right? That's the idea. So, but I still asked it with confidence. Listen, learning experience, never done this before. What are we looking at here? I still said it with confidence, but I respected him and I want his opinion. So it's not necessarily about trying to be right. It's not necessarily about trying to supersede. You don't know what you don't know. Own that. But you got to ask the right questions so that you can learn. The best experience you're going to get is working with your contractor. That's why you need that rapport, so you can ask those questions and learn. Because each project, you're going to get better and better and better. And each project, your scope's going to get more detailed and dialed in. And each project, your budget's going to get tighter and more accurate. It takes practice, but you can't do it if you're not asking questions, like anything in life. We all learn by asking questions. I've asked a million. I still ask a million.
Right on, brother. So that's all part of the production phase, right? Oh, you talked
about production is 100% setting up for construction. And if you don't do production phase, which most investors have never heard of that because it's a construction term, and if you don't set up anything, how can you win, right? If you don't practice, you're not going to win the game. That's my point. So if you're not setting it up, if you don't have a playbook, if you haven't done scrimmages, you're gonna look terrible during the game. You're gonna look like you don't belong here. And that's what happens to investors across the country. They don't know how to set up. Production is the most important phase of construction. It's not managing it, it's setting it up. Because if you don't setting up, management is done. It's a disaster. You can't control timelines, you can't control budgets, you can't control anything because you didn't set it up. You just got to set it up. Just setting up a simple project, I don't care if it's 10,000 or 100,000, set it up. Your management aspect in phase 2, which is really construction project management, will make your life easier because you set up the schedule. You worked with the contractor on the money. You know what's happening first, second, and third. You have apparently at that point, you should be having your materials set up. You know who's getting what, when, and where. You know the colors of your house and your finishes. That's what I'm saying is you have to have thought to set this up so that your life is much easier during phase 2 so you can coast into phase 3, which is just close the project out, rent it or sell it.
Gotcha. And that last phase, man, in that punch area, man, I always have trouble with the punches, like getting through that, not trying to get change orders up the, Have any tips with that, man?
Yeah. So first of all, rule number 1 is punch list is actually in the timeline. So if your project is 5 weeks, punch list should happen in 5 weeks, not 5 weeks plus 2 days. All right. So if you do punch list, like if your due date was today, August 6th by 5 p.m., and now you're doing punch list, you blew your own timeline. Punch list happens in construction. So that's rule number 1. So that's why, as a project manager and as an investor, you're pushing your GC saying, listen, we got a week and a half left. I want to punch this thing on Wednesday so that you guys can fix it Thursday and Friday. I'm going to come back third Friday night. This thing better be done. Cut a check, finally, we all go home. So rule number 1 is punch list happens in construction. It's in the actual original timeline. Punch list, depending on how big your project should be, obviously is 2 days at max, but it probably could go 5 days. Depends on how big you go. But I'm not gonna say most novices, because I've had students that come in who have like ARVs of $550,000, no joke. Their rehabs are like 280, and I say, have you ever done a construction project in your life? And they say no. And I say, oh my god. I do all the time. I go, why did you? Wow. You guys have no idea what you're doing. You got architects, you've got inspections, you've got permitting, you've got contract, you got specialty subs, you got licenses. If you're not familiar with that process, start small, practice, and then build up. Start small is my best advice to you. But ultimately, that's what I'm saying is the biggest role you play is the role that you involve yourself in, which is managing everything. You must understand what you're buying, set it up, and run it. I probably said so much today. People are so confused.
No, dude. Hey, that's good stuff, man. It's
okay, look at you. You just sat back like, damn, I got a headache.
Dude, it's a lot, bro. It's a lot, man. I know, but check it out. So Aaron's got a question over here, man. As far as like the products you use, is there anything you swear by? He's looking for the best stuff, like as far as durability and value and flooring, countertops, everything,
No, I mean, at the end of the day, Home Depot is going to be good for a lot of you guys who are going to be at an ARV under 500, right? So you could do Home Depot all day. I would encourage you to start your own relationships with like a granite company, like a stone company for countertops. Okay. We have like Floor and Decor out here. I don't know if Floor and Decor is in Arizona, but we established, tile houses, the same thing. Like as investors, you can establish your own pro accounts with any vending house you want, and you get discounts the more you order. But more importantly, they cater to you. So if you need something, they send it. And more often than not, like my guys, when I need something, I just text them. I'm like, hey, I need some more tile. And here's the process. I create a design board. I got a package A and a package B. Package A is the whites and the grays. And like I said, the package B is like the mochas and the earth tones. I just say, hey, I need earth tone tile for the bathrooms. He's like, all right, man, do you need it delivered? What's the square footage, or do you want me to drop it off? That's a relationship. But that's a process, right? And it takes, I don't know, 3 hours on a Saturday to go do that. Create your design board, go to the local store, meet your pro manager, establish your account with your company, and then start walking through the aisles and picking your selections that you like. They notate all of it in the system, and then all you're doing is texting them back and forth when you need it per project. What does that take you? It took you 3 hours to set it up. It took you 3 seconds to send the need and the request. Wow. That's project management.
And so you sort of have not cookie cutter, but like pre-designed packages, like, hey, this house we're going with, boom, this house we're going with that. And your contractor already knows all the finishes, everything you're looking for.
Yep. So they have access to the design board in our CRM system. I also have a job site binder, right? I have a folder, right, that has their contract, their scope of work, the budget that they agreed to, everything, schedule that they all filled out. Everything that's signed, I print it out, I stick it in a folder, I drop it on the job site, and I say, listen, I'm the first to drop this off, I'm the last to pick this up, I don't want this in your truck. I want that there. So every time I walk the house, I grab it, I open it, and I legit look at the scope, the schedule, and I observe. That's effective project management.
Wow.
So that's my point. The more you set yourself up for, obviously the better you're going to do. But you have to be consistent. Rehabbing is all about proactivity and predictivity, right? If you're reactive, it costs you money already. You're reacting to a problem. It's costing you money.
Wow, that's a good quote. It's about reactivity.
You got to be reactive and predictive every time. That's your job. You have to do the risk analysis. Every house, that's your job. This risk analysis is you basically laying out what challenges you foresee possibly coming into your life during this project, which means you're being proactive, right? And then as the game goes on, you're being predictive. I'm like, all right, well, like I figured this would be an issue, and it seems like he's late to the job site because the geography is too far between jobs. Things like that. So you're able to jump on those problems early on, resolve them early on, so that you're not getting phone calls that the house is on fire, because that's reactive, right? The house, the basement flooded, that's reactive. The house got broken into when you knew that it was a bad area. Well, you didn't do security, so that's your fault, right? These are things you have to analyze so that you can predict them and jump on them. And this is what I'm saying to you guys is nothing you don't know. It's just something you probably haven't thought about just for rehabbing. Rehabbing is a business. It's not a hobby. You have to treat it as such. The delicate care that you take, for all of you when you're looking at a deal to take down a deal, should be equal when you decide I'm going to go into construction and rehab this thing. You have to care.
Wow. Wow. Good answer, man. Next one, man. I've had problems with this, man, and I know a lot of builders out here who've had a ton of problems with this, bro. Cheryl Ramirez, I usually purchase my materials. What steps do you take to control theft of that stuff, man?
No, we do security. Obviously, we have different mechanisms. Sometimes we have partnerships with ADT across the country, so sometimes we'll put in some just motion detectors, fake cameras, right? They're not even real, they're fake. But at the end of the day, we have a deal with ADT where we can move them. You know, we're not getting charged per house. We kind of move them, and then we're able to then sell that off to the buyer and say, hey, listen, the house comes with, you know, security. So it's kind of like a perk. So it's like an investment through construction that comes with the house on the sale. So it's a bonus. So really it pays off in the end, because people want to buy a house these days with security. Who doesn't? The world's fucking crazy. So that's one way. Another way is there's actually different tools and equipment that like chains down AC condensers outside. There's cages, right? You know, even in basements, there's cages for water heaters and there's straps for furnaces. They have them, they're out there. So really just doing some diligence on keeping the big ticket items from being stolen. Those products are actually out there, you know, and, you know, depending on the area, you remember, you do your risk analysis and you say, you know, it's not a good area. I have friends that flip there and they always get things stolen or broken into. All right, ding, ding, ding. Pay attention to that, then plan for that.
Okay. Yeah, dude. Go ahead.
I'm in Chicago. Chicago is insane right now. I mean, our cops are getting shot at every single day. It's insane. And our houses are broken into all the time. And you got to do what you have to do to protect your property. You know, I mean, so for us, that's actually part of our scope of work, is that we need to do security. You know,
wow. And that deal you mentioned, brother, like you moving around your ADT security system, is that something that's available to everyone, or is it just something you just call and ask for, I guess?
So we have it because we have a deal with our academy, obviously. So our sales rep, if you will, we worked out a special deal because of the volume that we do and then the volume all the students do. So, you know, with the amount of students we have, our academy probably does 1,000 deals a year combined. So for the ADT, that's a home run for them. So we actually are like, this is what we want, or we'll find another vendor. So it's a different business strategy there, but
Gotcha.
We get what we want because of volume. But I would encourage you to reach out to your local ADT and see if there's something they would do for you, because you'd be surprised. Even at the bare minimal, where it's a motion sensor that just beeps, that's going to deter anybody from going in. If you break a seal and it starts beeping, I'm out. I don't know if you guys are going to stick around, but I'm gone.
Right. Yeah, even floodlights, right, or something like that.
Something. That's what I'm saying. Is there's very, and you have Simply Safe right now. Simply Safe's a pretty good tool. A lot of investors that are new are using that, so write that down. And a lot of these are very affordable, and those items you put into your construction budget.
Gotcha, man. All right, so this goes back to, I know you're in Chicago. Robert Martinez has a question. It's do you rehab virtually?
Yes.
And if so, how do you choose the right contractors for the projects that are done out of state?
So we've actually, good question. We have an incredible model. So our model, and remember, because I own a software system too. So what we do is we have investors that'll come to us. We actually do it on behalf of investors. So an investor will come to us, like, let's say they're here in Chicago and say, hey, I'm going to buy a house in Tampa, or I'm going to buy a house in Arizona, whatever, right? And I say, cool. I say, well, the agent that's representing you in that state, ask them if they'd like to double dip. What I mean by that is, do they want to represent you on the deal, and do they want to project manage for you? Because if they want to project manage for you, they can make twice the money. right? Agents are going to need money, especially next year and the years coming. If you're not a good agent, you're not going to survive. So you got to get savvy. I actually just wrote an article. My article just got posted in Chicago Agent Magazine. Google that. And it just went out on Monday. And it was literally about that topic, about how agents already have the skills to become a project manager and represent the investor on a whole nother level. And I literally wrote that article with them. So what we do with our model is an investor will call us out of the blue. And they'll say, hey, I've got agent so-and-so in Georgia. And he or she is going to represent us as our project manager. What they do is that investor sends that agent to us for 3 hours of training, 2 or 3 hours of training, and we teach them how to do the initial intro to rehab and then project management. And then they go into our system and they buy our system, right? Our software. We are then able to provide oversight through the system in Georgia. So we're able to continue project managing the project manager to do her job or his job. So we're involved in the equation from virtually, from afar. It's pretty incredible. We've probably done 51 deals this year alone doing that. And it's something that's very unique, but you have to have a remote virtual system, which again, we built. But my point is it's very doable, but you have to get in my opinion, the easiest way to do it is get the agents buy-in, because most agents are not going to have a problem wanting to double dip. And you want to keep your ARVs at 250 max, because that's probably going to keep you at a remodel rehab. Anything in the renovation space is going to be more difficult for the agent to learn, right? You just want them to be able to oversee basic stuff. Think about a hotel, think about a rental, right? You want your rehabs to be under 50K because that's more manageable for an agent who might not know that stuff. You don't want to give them a renovation. That won't work. I know it won't work. I say it all the time. It won't work. Been there, done that. So there's a strategy behind it. So virtual rehabbing must happen with a system, a CRM system, and B, having agent on the ground who can then work with other contractors. But there's got to be an outside entity that's teaching and basically helping that agent along, because that agent's going to need somewhere to go. And usually it's not the investor. What's the investor going to tell them? They need more management help. How do this contractor's giving me shit, or, he wasn't showing up on the job. All right, here's how I handle. Boom, 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 or get rid of them. Right. So we really represent the investor 100%, and the agent's basically able to double dip. It's a very cool model, but that's how we virtually rehab.
That's awesome, man. And it's required for any agent that works with you out of town?
No, it's not required by any means. I mean, the best solution, in my opinion, is to have the agent buy in on that, saying, yeah, I would love to. And you'd be surprised. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of agents that are here on this call. Most agents enjoyed that whole design aspect and the whole idea of like, oh, I want to be part of this. This is cool, right? Most agents like that. So why not double dip? If I were an agent, I'd double dip all day. But sure, baby, I'll show up, right? But that's me. But we just provide the support, the oversight, the system, and the training so that the agent finds success, which means the investor wins.
Amen. Amen. Samson's got a question for you, brother. I'm gonna let him.
Well, I don't have a question. I just got to say something. Can you guys hear me?
I got you.
All right. So I think the agent should be involved, like, let's say, like you're saying, virtual, because especially if you have a project, a house that you're trying to rehab, right? He should know what's selling in that area, perhaps. Yes. You should know what the countertops are selling. Yes. If whatever's selling in that area, he should know, and he should be able to become a project manager, because one time I asked his agent, because he's I have a little bit of experience with construction. I used to work with big projects, like I used to lift up skyscrapers. So I was a team leader. So I got construction background since I was 17. And I asked the investor, I was like, hey, this is like, well, I want to stay in this budget. So I told him, look, get with your agent that's going to represent you and that knows this market, because he's going to know what's selling and what's not selling. So coming back to the virtual assistant with an agent, he should know what's selling and what's not selling.
I agree. I mean, that's 100%. I agree. If you think about it, the agent that's in that market should know that market, right? So that's an advantage to you as the investor, that they know what the comps look like and what materials and finishes should go into a property. 100% agree.
Correct. And that's how you kind of like how you stay on a budget, as well. So, but yeah, I think you should be a superintendent.
It's funny, man.
Was this call helpful for everybody?
Yeah.
I hope it helps you guys just think, just The idea to becoming successful as a rehabber is to always be thinking and trying to create leverage for yourself, because no one's going to give it to you. You got to create it for yourself. And again, treat it like a business, run it like a business, and continue learning. And you will find yourself in a very successful position. But if you don't, guys like me will eat you alive.
One more thing, there's actually classes out there, young cats like me, 26. If you're learning to get into rehabbing, there's actually vocational classes that if you have no experience at all in construction, that you want to start getting into, maybe to help you out, to learn the basics. By learning the basics, that actually can help you out in the long term. Not looking stupid in this job, not looking stupid staying on the project, because you got kind of the basics of a little bit of everything in, So that's kind of like what I gotta say to young investors like me, get vocational.
Well, actually,
I didn't catch any of that. I'm sorry. A lot of background.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Somebody
It's a
probably has
feedback
a
thing,
phone
huh?
on and a computer on.
Yeah, that's what it is, dude. So actually, man, he was talking about like it's a good idea for someone to go out and maybe get some vocational classes or something like that.
Yes.
And that being said, man, it's a good transition. Once again, bro, thank you so much for joining us. I want to transition to where can everyone find you, man?
Say it again?
Where do people go to find you, brother?
I just put my email or my website there. Here's my email.
Okay.
I'm going to do that too. If any of you want to join our academy, it's a VIP membership annually. You get, as I'm talking to you guys as I'm texting, writing. I'm sorry, it's Rehab.
Yeah. So it's the rehabdepot.com, right?
Right. And you guys can actually email me personally. I'm open for that. The idea is when you join our academy, you get free all the virtual camps we do are free to you guys. It's we do about 20 virtual camps a year. We have an online certification course that's also part of the academy, so you guys can access 16 modules, 5 quizzes, and a final, and we'll certify you in project management. You learn that on your own. It's all online. You have access to the portal, and then you get 50% off everything else. So we actually do like a big physical camp, and we have investors from all across the country that are all big levels and low levels. Those are 50% off to you guys. And then obviously you get a discount on our software, which is my second company, should you guys want to use the software. So it's pretty unique. But most importantly, the biggest thing is, I can't even type right now, the Rehab. What's my name? Rehab Depot. It's funny. But the biggest thing is you guys get access to me. So I've got a separate portal in which all of our students have a login with me primarily. It's like a live chat going on. So when you have questions about like some of the education you're doing, you have challenges on some of your projects, you literally can just type that in. I get the notification immediately and I'll respond. So you get coaching for a year and it's just nonstop. And sometimes people do coaching hot and heavy for like 3 weeks, don't call me for 4 months, and then out of nowhere they call me on the 6th month. That's what it's all about. So you have access to me, and that's the reality. And not to sound funny, but that's probably the best value.
That's awesome, man. And I actually just joined that a few weeks back.
He's in. He's in the academy.
I'm in.
Guess who's getting their box here in the mail soon? This guy.
That's dope, man.
He's gonna get some flip that shit swag.
Appreciate you again, man.
This is the shirt, bro. Flip that shit.
Is that what I'm getting in the mail there?
You get in the mail, dude.
With some Yeezys?
I don't even know if you want to stand by that anymore. That dude's lost his mind.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
He's out of his mind.
Hey, with that
being
said,
anyway, thanks for everything, guys. I hope it helps, and I hope to see you guys in the academy. Let's grow.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother, man. Thank you, guys. Everyone, be safe, and thank you for joining us on the call, man. You the man, Rotty.
Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Later, guys.